Today's game is presented by United Bank. United Bank Mobile Banking.
Harrisonburg's first resident spot.
And welcome back, everyone, to Bridgeport Stadium, home of the Dukes, and Zane Shoker Field. The turf is all nice and tidy. They came out and groomed it earlier today. It is a chilly one, though. Fortunately, we do have some sunshine, but boy, the breeze, 27 degrees. It feels even colder than that.
Yeah, I was wondering what the feels like temperature is, because with that wind out there whipping, and I can tell you the little bit, and I wouldn't even call it snow that was on my driveway, the sleet turned ice, and that's what's really all around us here in the Harrisonburg area.
Let's take a look at today's keys to the game. They're brought to you by Cross Keys Vineyards. First of all for Morehead State, defensive mystery. We're not really sure what they're going to present, a new defensive coordinator, so the Dukes will have to learn about that. Can they stop the JMU run? And if they can they pressure the quarterback, Cole Johnson, a newbie as far as a regular starter? Now, he does have a start under his belt, but this is a different scenario.
Much different for him. And the interesting thing here for Cole Johnson, he was the best decision maker, and that's why he's out there under center, according to Coach Signetti.
All right, how about the keys for the Dukes of James Madison? Well, assignment sound. It has been a while since the Dukes have played, so don't get out of your game. Play fundamental football and make sure that you just stay within your assigned boundaries. Scheme adjustments, and that goes back to the defense. What is Morehead State going to throw at the Dukes today? And you've got veteran guys, but they're going to emerge as new leaders. And that's what really good programs do, Carl, year in and year out. You do have veterans. They become the new leaders. Some of those guys have passed gone from last year, and now we're going to see some of the new fellas step up.
That's just the thing. Next man up, and they're going to have to do it, especially, I think, on the defensive side of the football.
So this is the first of 8 games during the regular season. The Dukes and the Eagles, non-conference opponents. There are a couple more games scheduled. In fact, next year, they will play again, meaning next September, to open up the season. And there's another one scheduled for out in 2023. There's the head coach of the Morehead State Eagles, as Coach Rob Tenyer, patrolling the sideline there for Morehead State, as the Dukes will kick off to start this affair. And as I said, it's an 8-game schedule, so 2 non-conference games. This is meeting number 10 between these programs. The last time the Dukes met Morehead State was an 80-7 win in 2016, Mike Houston's first year with the program. And, well, that 80 points was a record. There's Coach Kurt Signetti of the Dukes. As we do get underway, a pooch kick up top, and it's going to end up actually fielded at the 5-yard line. So they wanted to keep it inside the field of play, and that's where Morehead State will take over on the fair catch.
Interesting, Ian Holder, who fielded that, the number 2 man in the Pioneer League in kickoff return average. Curious why he didn't take a shot at trying to pick up some extra yards, but of course now you can fair catch and you don't get it there. It moves up to the 25-yard line, and that's where Morehead State will start off this football game on the offensive side.
And we'll take a look eventually at our starting lineups for today's ball game as well. And the quarterback, well, he has some experience, does this Morehead State program, and he is number 14, Mark Pappas, a redshirt junior. And the first play to the outside it goes, just a gain of a couple. So a 2nd down and 8 as the Dukes pursue to the football pretty well. And Morehead State's going to spread the field on the Dukes here, Carl.
Yeah, they're going to have to be fast from sideline to sideline, and that's, I think, what they're going to do, a little dump off. They're not going to take their chances of playing around in the pocket too long. They don't want to take time, because that could certainly cost them some yardage. I think both teams in that respect, they don't want any negative plays. It's going to be trying to stay on schedule.
Pappas completed 57% of his passes last year. He doesn't run the football very well. He's going to dump this off, but not much of a gain. In fact, there's a loss of a couple on the play.
Well, it looked to me like he turned to hand it off to someone and they weren't there. And that play just did not look good from the get as he took the snap. And if that was a play fake, he got me, because I thought he was really looking for a running back that just was not there.
And there's the offensive starting lineup for Morehead State. I'm really curious to see how the center, Jackson Spears, I really love the name. Look at the way they spell that, Jackson Spears. He is a freshman, and he's going to go up against a little more experienced player in Tony Thurston, the starting nose tackle for JMU. To me, that's a key one-on-one matchup in today's contest. So 3rd down and 9. We didn't take a look, and the whistles blow before the snap. We did not take a look at JMU's defensive third down conversion from a couple of years, but that too was among the best in the country.
Delay a game.
So they did run out of the play clock, and so that'll set up what is now a 3rd and 14. And here's the JMU defensive alignment. You're going to have two guys from Lake Taylor High School out there for the Dukes. DeMonte Tucker Dorsey, as he is one of the linebackers for the Dukes, and Wayne Davis, the transfer, started his collegiate career at Ohio State. Pappas back to pass, and pressure, throw over the top and knocked down, as we see a first hand on a football for James Madison on the opposite side, and that knocks it down. We'll see our first punt of the day. We're going to see a couple of good punters in this contest.
Well, these are two of the best, and I think they're both on the watch list, which we were trying to come up with a name for. I think it's just called the FCS Punting Watch List.
Wow. Pretty sexy, huh? Yeah.
But two of the better punters in the entire country at the FCS level in this football game here today, and they're going to need it.
That was Greg Ross that got a hand on the football. And here's the punt. A fair catch is called for and bobbled by Jack Troba. The ball is still loose. Let's see what they call on the opposite side. And it looks as if JMU will maintain possession.
Boy, it looked like he was fighting that sunshine.
Indeed, he was. We're going to take a timeout as the JMU Dukes and the Morehead State Eagles battling today. You're watching JMU football presented from Learfield IMG College. JMU Athletics would like to thank its Team Madison partners. They are Pepsi, Centera, and Glow Fiber. And we're back to action as the Dukes have their first offensive possession of the football game. And the Dukes look like they want to go in a hurry here, Carl.
They do, and why not? And they got the run game going right away. Percy takes the first one, couple of yards.
And Ajay Obasay takes the ball up to the 39-yard line. He is there in the backfield. Cole Johnson, the quarterback for the Dukes, hands it off again to Percy Ajay Obasay, and he hesitates a bit and then works his way right. Looked like he might have enough to give the Dukes their first Ergie's cheesesteak first down, and indeed they do.
Well, two things on that one run. First, a little bit of a, he had to be patient, figure out where that hole was going to open up, and then he carried a couple of guys for that extra yard or two.
Well, Cole Johnson certainly has served his time here at James Madison. Came in, Brian Shore was the quarterback, Ben DiNucci, and now you've got Johnson out of Virginia Beach, Virginia, former Cox High School Falcon in the Virginia Beach area. And he is back behind center this time. Fakes the pass. Now he's going to fling it out. And the ball is dropped. That should be an incompleted pass. And let's take a look at the offensive alignment for the Dukes of James Madison. And you're going to see one of them highlighted there, Liam Fernadel, who is right tackle. He might be the next Aaron Stinney of James Madison. I mentioned Aaron because he won a Super Bowl as an offensive lineman. He and Josh Wells with Tampa Bay and Earl Watford as well. Well, Stinney, Fernadel is probably the next one for JMU. And there's Juwan Hamilton, his first carry for JMU this season. And let's take a look at the Eagles defensively today. And again, Vaughn Taylor, the defensive end. Kyrie Keith, the free safety, guys to keep an eye on.
Have not seen Vaughn on the field yet, at least from my scan.
We actually had not laid eyes on him yet. Figured he was in the crowd. Don't know about that situation. Here's the first pass, and wide open is the receiver on the opposite side, working down to the inside, about the 20-yard line, knocked out there. And we'll see that again on the replay. And coming up with that big catch for the Dukes was Chris Thornton, a redshirt from transfer from Virginia Military Institute.
Well, he had a big year last year for VMI. 87 catches last season.
And his first as a James Madison Duke. And that gives the Dukes 1st and 10 inside the 20-yard line. Johnson, handoff goes to Percy Obasay, and he is still on his feet as he carries a couple of would-be tacklers. Eventually brought down and gets
a little
nice
extra
lead
push.
Block there, too.
Nice lead block, and they were a little bit behind him as well, giving him a shove.
That brings up a 2nd down and 3. No surprise, the Dukes moving the football from the onset here today. Obasay, the handoff to the right side, follows his student body and picks up another Ergie's cheesesteak. 1st down, it appears.
Referee is motioning. Let's move the flags. Of course, they toss the flags aside because it is 1st and goal.
1st and goal at just shy of the 8-yard line for JMU. Also see number 37, Clayton Cheatham, back out there. Cheatham missing all of last year for the Dukes because of an injury. Jawan Hamilton set up to the left side. Handoff goes to Hamilton, cuts to the left side, breaks a tackle into the end zone. Touchdown, James Madison University. Jawan Hamilton, the redshirt senior, coming up with a TD for the Dukes, and that is his 7th out of the rushing game for JMU.
That's a Shakira touchdown. The hips don't lie. He really swiveled him a bit to break out of that tackle and get into the end zone.
The Dukes have one big pass play that sets it up for the Dukes. The long pass to Chris Thornton. And here comes the extra point. Ethan Ratke to chip in the extra point for the Dukes. And he does so. And the Dukes are on the board as they lead it 7-0. So James Madison with the advantage. And we'll be back. We'll hear from Allie Barefoot when we return as you're watching JMU football from Learfield IMG College.
Harrison.
JMU leading 7-0 over Morehead's Eagles. Let's join Allie Barefoot. It was an off-season of sadness for JMU as far as the football community is concerned, but an honor going on here. Let's join Allie.
Thanks, Kurt. To honor Coach Charles McMillan's legacy here at JMU, the football team has placed a Coach Mac front bumper decal on their helmets, which they will wear the entire season. Earlier last year, Coach Charles McMillan did pass away peacefully at the age of 77, and he was JMU's first football head coach here. But he was more known as the founding father of JMU football as he started the program in 1972 and led the first 13 seasons here. Coach McMillan made an impact on everybody that he met as he dedicated over 5 decades of service to teams, athletes, and coaches, including coaching Pro Football Hall of Famer Charles Haley, Gary Clark, and Scott Norwood. In 1994, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame here at JMU, and JMU AD Jeff Bourne said that JMU athletics would not be what it is today without Coach Charles McMillan. Kurt?
Thank you very much, Allie. It's great to pay that tribute. Of course, it's been a sad year for many people in many regards, and Coach McMillan is one of those that this football program did lose. This is the 49th year of JMU football. We'll celebrate number 50 next year, and I'm sure we'll spend a lot more time talking about Coach Mack and his impact over the years.
Well, he stayed close to the program the whole time. I mean, you're talking about 48, 49 years, and he was here all of them.
Absolutely. He was that indeed. One of the quiet heroes, as I like to call them. Here's the first handoff to start this second drive for Morehead State. And with the football was Earl Stoudemire, redshirt senior, 5'9", 200-pounder.
Looked like Sam Kidd was the guy who got in there and kind of blew that run up. He may not have made the actual tackle, but he was the reason that the play was made right there behind the line of scrimmage. Loss of a couple.
So 2nd down and 12 for the Eagles of Morehead State out of the Pioneer League. 2nd down and 12, faking the handoff now over the middle, and the pass is caught, and the tackle at the 40-yard line. Good quick hitting play, as coming up with the reception was Jacob Peters, tight end, 6'3", 241-pounder. Wayne Davis making the stop for James Madison.
It's an impressive play. He did not have a whole lot of time. Pappas, I'll tell you, the pocket did not hold up for him very long.
I think that may be an issue for Morehead State today. Dukes, they may have things mixed up defensively. They do find themselves in the right formation, though, ultimately, and no running room. Back into the backfield, and it is Isaiah Aguero, the ball carrier, who averaged in junior college 5.48 yards per carry. Last year, he averaged 4.5 or 5.91 yards per carry. But I think they set them up by spreading them out otherwise, and so those running backs end up with pretty good chunks of yardage. 2nd down and 11. Pappas up to the line of scrimmage. Handoff again, and nowhere, going once again, and that is big Mike Green who gets in the backfield.
Mike Green, he's a big part of this James Madison University defense. 53 tackles, 11 behind the line of scrimmage last season, and he's right back to work this year.
He's approaching 100 tackles in his James Madison career, and it's another third down. The Dukes were successful on getting the Eagles off the field on their last third down try. That's tackle number 97 in the career of Green.
This will be interesting, as you talked about, Kurt. Can they hold a pocket together on an obvious passing play?
It is the 3rd and 13. They will pass it, quick hit, and just misfiring. The timing has to be ideal, and that was certainly broken up.
Again, as you mentioned, it just has to be ideal timing because he's kind of duck and toss is what it is. I don't even know if it's worth a play fake.
Jack Schroba will go back to receive this punt. Again, he struggled with the sun the last time.
Well, it doesn't look like it's changed a whole lot.
No, it hasn't. That's the thing here in February. It's a different time of year to be playing at Bridgeport Stadium. And he says, no, get out of the way, poison, poison, and it'll roll to a stop. So the Duke's second possession will begin at its own 24-yard line. As the Dukes leading the Morehead State Eagles, let's see if they can tack on to the 7-0 lead. You're watching JMU football presented from Learfield IMG College. Back in a moment. CarMax is proud to be the presenting sponsor of the 2021 JMU football season. CarMax, the way car buying should be. And Bojangles is the official tailgate partner of JMU Athletics. Don't forget to pick up your big Bo box and cheer on the Dukes. It's Bo time. And it's go time for the Dukes. Last time they drove the football 63 yards in 8 plays. Juwan Hamilton's 7th rushing touchdown as a Duke, and Cole Johnson takes a big hit, but after he delivers the pass to Cheatham, who catches his first football in a couple of years.
Cheatham will get him 9 of the 10 they needed to move the sticks. But Johnson rolling out to his right, and you mentioned it, Kurt, he took quite a hit there.
He got hit high and low. So Johnson has the Dukes moving on the 2nd down and 1. Open playbook right now, and the handoff goes to your running back right up the middle. Straight up the chute he goes. On the way past the 20. He breaks a tackle and heads right on in. Touchdown, James Madison University. Solomon Van Horst, the redshirt sophomore, breaks free for the long TD.
Now, once he got to the 2nd level, my goodness.
He is the 3rd running back to carry the football already today. And look at that long run for Van Horst.
I didn't realize he had broken a 2nd tackle there. They got a little bit of a fingertip on him at about the 30, but able to rumble in.
A 2-time Rookie of the Week last year out of this running back core for James Madison.
We talked in the pregame about how talented these running backs are.
And Radke with the extra point. And that is good. The holder, Alex Miller, for the Dukes this year, the long snapper, as has been for the last 2 years, Kyle Davis. And take a look at it once again as Van Horst gets on his horse and races all the way for the score. It's a 68-yard TD run for Van Horst. And they're doing exactly what this man right here wants them to do, run the football.
And run it very well. It's one thing to hand the football off. It's another thing to get into the end zone 68 yards later, and that's exactly what they've done. And they've been able to, I mean, every time they've handed the football off, it's been a positive play. You talked about it in the pregame, Kurt. You circled that number where you talked about how few rushing yards the Dukes had allowed last season. Look at the difference in rushing yards right now. Yes, it's early. 100 for the Dukes, -5 for Morehead State.
The Van Horst, that's his, as his overall touchdowns are concerned. He had 5 rushing TDs last year, 6 receiving touchdowns, rushing 382 yards as a Duke, when he already punches his ticket into the end zone for this year, and another fair catch for Morehead State. They'll start it at the 25. Well, you know, you were asking, Carl, why they might take a knee and not venture out. Well, that Duke's defense, you don't want to start too deep. You want to get as much yardage as you possibly can.
Yes, but I would also say at some point you're going to need your special teams to do something special. And that's why I'm curious why they wouldn't take the chance. I know what you're saying, Kurt. Don't put yourself any further back than you have to. But I'm just saying you got to take every shot at it when you're as outgunned as you would seem to be. I mean, now I'm not saying this is the same difference in teams that we saw a couple of years ago in an 80-0 game, but obviously there is a little bit of a talent difference.
Pappas fires, and that is batted and nearly caught. Almost the interception for the Dukes, and JMU's linebackers working their way back and understanding what these patterns are like, because that is knocked down by Mateo. Jackson almost had his first pick of the season.
Well, he did that where he reached back behind and almost able to tip it to himself and make an incredible play.
So 2nd down and 10. Morehead State with its 3rd possession, still looking for its first down of the afternoon. Low snap, they hand off. Guerrero did not get any running room once again. The Dukes just across the line of scrimmage in a purple wave. Tucker Dorsey making the tackle for James Madison. Again, a 3rd down quickly for Morehead. And a quick snap. He wasn't ready. Here comes the pressure for the Dukes. Pappas can't get through, and he is down way back at the 15-yard line.
Mike Green, who wraps him up. Boy, this is what happens when you're not used to going fast and you try and do something quickly to catch the opponent sometimes. And look at that.
Over the head, Pappas just did the best job he could just to simply corral the football.
I think the Dukes got lucky there at the end.
And there you have a Food Lion sack. There's that sack, the sack to give back. Food Lion Feeds just donated another 1,000 meals to feed our neighbors in need here in Harrisonburg. Keep cheering on the sacks to help give us back.
Finally, a little bit of a shade to return a punt in.
Yeah, the pleasures of a cloud. This is probably the only time you want to have a cloud on a cold day like today, and Schroba pulls that in. And for the fair catch at midfield, the Dukes will start it just inside their own territory at the 49. Jack Strobel, one of 2 student athletes. His sister Jenny played soccer here at James Madison. Okay, go ahead. And Allie was talking about Chalice McMillan. Of course, his passing last March. It happened the weekend before all this COVID news started to break out, and the Dukes women's basketball Dukes were playing in a tournament. Here's Palmer with the basketball with the football, that is, for the Dukes, as I mix my seasons during this super season of sports. And Latrell Palmer was certainly impressive his freshman year last year.
Oh, Palmer last year, yes, very impressive. We talked about the embarrassment of riches, and there's another one of those guys who just so good for the James Madison University Dukes. 400 yards in very limited use, really.
And here you see this is going back to some of the McMillan days, and there's the ABC Sports. A lot of JMU football fans, the older fans will say, and I can say that because I'm one of them, remember that game on national television. These are just some of the early days of JMU football when Coach McMillan was the man calling the plays at JMU. Right now, the Dukes moving right down the field. Palmer again. This is Chiaje Obase with the jump cut and gets inside the 10 as the Dukes pounding the rock once again inside.
Like Giovanni Herrera, the guy who got him on the hip and able to take him down.
2nd and 2. Oje Obase again with a stutter step. I like he gets up there. You know, he's showing a lot of patience that older running backs show you.
That's the advantage of having all that time under your belt, and certainly last year we got to see an awful lot of opportunity here, which is interesting because, as we've talked about, you know, Dukes have always had a stable of running backs. I'm not sure it's ever been as deep as it's been the last couple of years, though.
And I think if you look at the JMU football run the last 5 or 6 years, that that has been something, because even if you're really good, you're going to get a chance to play. You're not sitting that long, and there you go. Palmer just barrels his way. Don't stand in my way, says Latrell Palmer, and he has his touchdown. So you've got one for Hamilton. You've got one for Latrell Palmer. Solomon has his, Van Horst, and they're already sharing the wealth.
I'm going to say, if I'm giving them musical touchdowns, that might be ludicrous. Move, get out the way.
There you go. Carl pulling it out. So 20-0, James Madison. The rushing game is come to play here today. Palmer with the touchdown. Here's the extra point from Radke. Miller again the holder, and it's through the uprights. And the Dukes out and running 21-0. 3:31 to play in this first quarter. And Cole Johnson, the Dukes quarterback, hasn't had to go to the air very often. They're just simply handing the football off for the most part. You know, Johnson, again, a redshirt senior, 6'5", 213 out of Virginia Beach. It did go to Cox High School. And here, his first career start was an interesting one. It came during that 2016 year when, against Villanova, Brian Shore broke his collarbone, and so he had to play the next week. This was a crucial game. Now, albeit Elon wasn't the Elon then as it is now, but that was a game the Dukes needed to win to keep their lofty heights, and it set them up for home playoff advantage.
Well, I know that Coach Signetti was pressed every week during his fan and luncheon, and who's going to be the starter, who's going to be the starter. And Cole Johnson, he said, really, to me, kind of came out to be the guy because of his decision making.
Gage Maloney was in a battle. The Dukes do have a good number of quarterbacks to consider. It goes deep as well. But, you know, when you've got a program that plays at this caliber, you can get that depth that other programs may have difficulty in recruiting, and the university does it, sells that too.
Now, you're closer to the program than I am, Kurt, so give me an idea. You know, last year, was it just message board stuff where people were talking about Cole Johnson maybe supplanting Ben at quarterback, or was that a fire being really kind of lit under Ben, do you think?
Well, I'm not sure.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it's Cole has always been one of those that you felt was a good backup quarterback to have in your program, because you could call upon him at any time. You can see that he has maintained his improvement throughout the years as well. And he's, just like many of these other veterans, he has bid his time here.
Well, I tell you, it was an impressive play by the Dukes there. As you saw, they kind of peeled back out. They realized screen, and instead of continuing to pursue Pappas, they came back. That was nice. And it wound up being no gain on the play.
So 2nd down and 10 as they get something situated.
I was going to say,
here.
it took a while to get that play in.
Yes. And here it comes in with 6 seconds on the clock. Quick movement. Pappas will hand it off, but all of that didn't amount to very much. To mention that this is the 10th all-time game between these programs. The couple of victories for Morehead State go back a good number of years.
They're 2-1 at their joint.
They don't play very often in Kentucky. But there you see the first meeting was 1979. And the Dukes won that one. The last meeting here in 2016, the 80-7 triumph. Pappas back to pass. He's going to run this time, but he is tripped up. And it's Mike Green, one-handed tackle.
Mike Green, who was already on his duff, just reaches up and gets his big right arm on him and takes him down. What a play. Green, I mean, tell you what, nothing missing from last season. It's like there's been no layoff for him.
So Green with another loss behind the line of scrimmage, and Schroba battles the sun, comes up with a catch. Here he is to the near side at the hash mark, and he's tackled at the 40-yard line.
Never really got the blocker set up the way I think he wanted.
Take a look at Schroba battling the sun.
See, with a little push, couldn't quite get it where he wanted. But again, just fantastic field position for the Dukes.
Now that field position has been resultant of how well the Dukes have played on the other end of the field and keeping Morehead State simply pinned in. 1:35 to go in the first quarter. Remember, we have women's basketball tonight. JMU against Delaware. It's another one of the quote-unquote doubleheader weekends, playing the Blue Hens tonight and tomorrow, 6 o'clock at the Atlantic Union Bank Center. You can watch on Flow Hoops. Johnson back to pass, has plenty of time, has a receiver wide open, and stretching out, making the catches first as a Duke, Scott Bracey, the transfer from Duke.
You would have liked to have seen him get it to him a little more where he could run after the catch, but Bracey was doing a nice job of laying out and making the grab.
Bracey, a transfer from Duke University, although he's from Richmond, Virginia. 6'2", 206-pounder.
JMU's done well with Duke transfers, have they not?
They have, yes. There have been a number of them. Johnson taking the snap, handoff. Juwan Hamilton as he lunges forward to the 47-yard line.
Well, they can just do that all day. 3, 4, 5 yards at a clip.
Hamilton, a transfer himself out of Central Florida, but that's well behind him now out of Miami. Came in with 177 career rushes for the Dukes and approaching 1,000 yards in his James Madison career. And there goes Hamilton again, battling his way, picks up an Ergie's cheesesteak, first down. Hamilton also with a chance to move into the top 10 all-time in career kick return yards. He's only 48 yards shy of doing that. And he may get a chance to do that today at some point. We'll see. 1st and 10 for the Dukes, back into Morehead State territory. Johnson, the flare-out pass, and hit right away as that is hauled in by Van Horst, but he is laid out right away.
That was some kind of a hit by Tyler Noble.
And that's the end of the first quarter of play as the Dukes of James Madison, they are leading it 21-0 after one full quarter of play. You're watching JMU football on the Dukes Television Network, presented by Learfield IMG College. Our JMU fans, 6th grade or below, register to win the Top Dog Experience presented by Riddleberger Brothers Incorporated. To register for the VIP experience, visit jmusports.com/topdog.
Quarterback keeping it himself there. It's interesting. You look at the yardage, and as I was taking a look at the running that the Dukes did last year, and of course Ben DiNucci racked up quite a bit of yardage as a rusher. Now Cole Johnson didn't have the opportunity last year, but still averaged a very healthy clip in the times that he toted the football.
And he's a tall quarterback to begin with, so when he runs, he doesn't look quite as fast, but he covers long strides as he does rush the football. And he is capable, just not necessarily part of his usual game plan. Here's some pressure, can't escape it, and it's a sack. And coming back with that sack for the Morehead State Eagles. Did you pick up the license plate on that young man?
Jaleel Holmes, I do believe.
Indeed it was, a linebacker out of California, a transfer from Azusa Pacific. So the Dukes will go into punting formation, and
first time today.
We'll see the man from down under, Harry O'Kelly. And he'll get the ball punched to the 20-yard line where it is a fair catch. So early into the second quarter, the Dukes leading at 21-0. We'll be back with more football from Bridgeport Stadium after this timeout. You're watching JMU football on Learfield IMG College. Come to O'Neill's Grill for the best food, service, and JMU atmosphere in the Valley. We are located less than a mile away from campus. Just look for the place with the purple roof. You can almost see it from right here at Bridgeport Stadium. Second quarter early in the second frame. JMU 21-0. Dukes rushing the football at will, if you would. And Morehead State with the football at the 20-yard line after the Dukes were stopped for the first time today. And Morehead State still trying to get the offense clicking.
Definitely so. And their rushing game just not there yet.
right, here's some of the highlights of the first quarter of play. The touchdowns, the 3 runs for scores. Juwan Hamilton. And then the long run, Van Horst. And we're back to live action. Of course, then you got the Latrell Palmer. And here's the ball flipped over as the quarterback was getting hit, and results in a fairly positive gain.
Yeah, nice little pass out. He got it to their main running back, Oguro, who made a play out of it.
There are 4 new coaches on the staff for Coach Kurt Cignetti and company, and one of them is a name that a lot of folks do know.
Well, Kurt and Carl made a return to Bridgeport Stadium, but this time serving as a new running back coach on Coach Kurt Cignetti's staff this season. John Miller came to us at JMU in 2014 as a freshman tailback, where he accumulated 473 yards. Wide receiver his sophomore season, but he was a part of the 2016 National Championship team and was a 2017 CAA Special Teams Player of the Year. Coach John Miller served as a graduate assistant on former JMU head football coach Mike Houston's staff over at ECU for a couple of years, but for the past 2 seasons he has served as the offensive quality control coach as a Texas Longhorn. Coach John Miller said, "It's always been a dream of mine to coach my alma mater, and it's truly a blessing to be back here at JMU." Guys?
Thank you very much, Allie. And of course, he is one of 4 new coaches. Safeties coach Eddie Whitley Jr., Marcus Hall Oliver, the defensive tackles, and strength and conditioning coach Derek Owens joining Miller as new coaches for Coach Cignetti. And we got a new quarterback in the ball game for Morehead State, Carl.
And he's made a couple of plays. First, the little pass out there to the running back, and now a nice long downfield pass to Jeremiah Scott, a sophomore wide receiver. Scott makes the catch, and then there's a foul after the play, and that'll move the football further up and probably for the very first time into JMU territory for Morehead State.
A couple things also to catch up on our bookkeeping in that first quarter. The Van Horst touchdown was a career long, the 68-yarder. And his previous career best was a 30-yarder against St. Francis last year. Here's the potential
pass right on time, and that, I guess they're going to say helmet to helmet.
That's it. You know, some of these helmet to helmet calls are really tough, just more coincidental than malicious. But they are looking at this once again. There's Coach Cignetti.
Well, you know, they love to call targeting, and if they do, be a bad situation for the Dukes, as they would lose one of their #1 guys back there in that secondary, Wayne Davis.
And Davis, Lake Taylor Titan, again started his career at Ohio State.
But I will say this, in his defense, at least his arms are out. He didn't shoot at him like a missile.
Davis
After
from Norfolk, Virginia.
There is no targeting on the play.
No targeting
it is a completed catch, first down.
That's a good call. I think the right call there.
But a first down, and that is the first down for Morehead State in this ball game, and it comes with 12:28 to play in the first half. Dukes, by the way, with 21 points in the first quarter. That's the 23rd time in program history that's happened. Just to throw that at you. 1st and 10 at the 44. Clayton with the football. Tries to get to the outside. You see JMU's speed, and there's Q Reed for the Dukes. Had an interception against Morgan State last year. Father played football at NC State. And there you see the quarterback, Clayton. He is a transfer, too, from Malone University, which is located in Ohio. Steps back. He didn't step much, and he's going to run with the football. He does provide a little bit more nimbleness, it looks like.
Yep. I was wondering.
Flags.
He slid awful late. This is so tough for the defense. And I'm not complaining about the flag. I'm just saying, as a defender, this is tough. Slides at the last minute, and yikes.
Tackle credited to Tucker Dorsey.
After the play,
to figure this out.
Personal foul with targeting. Defense,
with targeting.
#7, 15-yard penalty. The previous play is under review.
So they're going to review this one also.
Yeah, this could be some trouble.
So you see Kelvin Azanama back there defensively for the Dukes, along with Tucker Dorsey.
Azanama, this doesn't look as friendly as the previous play that they reviewed, because this time again, there's not arms out to make a tackle or make a stop. It's more of a headlong type play. Yeah. That's.
Well, the last one was overturned or not ruled as targeting. Right. Let's hope that's the same. And that has certainly changed in the game of football quite a bit. It's changed the way that coaches have instructed and taught the skill set to tackle.
The targeting is confirmed. Number 7 is disqualified.
And targeting was confirmed this time, so there is a disqualification.
So the Dukes will lose.
I'm not sure who they actually called it on, however.
They called it on the linebacker. They called it on Azanama. I mean, honestly, you could have called it on either guy there.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't quite sure. But it does result in the first down at the 41-yard line. And Clayton, the quarterback, steps outside. He does have some elusiveness. Now lofts it and makes the completion, the diving catch. And that is pulled in by McClung. How he escapes here and just creates and extends the play.
I was going to say, he can extend the play, whereas they couldn't originally. And I think he just gives them that extra dimension, something that they're going to need here.
That was actually Guilfoyle, number 15, making the catch out of the slot, redshirt sophomore. Clayton back, dropping straight back, dropping further, and then dropped to the turf. He slipped initially, and the Dukes get in there to help corral him.
He's one of those guys who looks just so much more comfortable outside the pocket. And here he is in it, and it's just nothing doing. You got to credit the Dukes defensive backs for that.
Another one of our Food Lion sacks for 1,000 meals given to local folks here in the Shenandoah Valley.
Saw something interesting talking about grocery bags, Kurt.
Yes.
I was watching a special about special effects and how the sound men don't like a lot of sound going on. So the paper bags you see on television are generally made of vinyl.
Ah, okay. Gotcha. That's a trick. And on the carry is Ian Holder, but it's very little on the play. Q Reed comes in to make the stop for James Madison.
Once again, that sideline to sideline speed we were highlighting and that we've seen a couple of times here for the Dukes. Now, I've got to believe this is 4-down territory. Well, yeesh.
So Matt Guilfoyle come back into the lineup as they do spread 3 to the top side, 1 here to the boundary side with the running back Aguero in the backfield.
False start.
Yep. And this is going to put them even further behind.
There is no flag on the play. Timeout, Morehead State.
Oh,
that's their first charge timeout.
By Morehead State, so they just do whistle it in. And we're going to take the timeout as well. Might as well do so. 9:22 to go in the first half. James Madison 21-0. Little stall here in this quarter for the Dukes. We'll be back with more JMU football in Learfield, IMG College.
Do you own?
3rd and 19 from the JMU 32-yard line. Quarterback is hit, and the ball is picked off on the far side. James Madison with its first interception of the season.
Wayne Davis.
Wayne Davis, who we thought might get ejected from the ball game. He stays in, and he comes up with a big pick for JMU. And that is his 5th as a Duke. Actually, among the Dukes returning this year, he leads in that category. comes Wayne.
Well, he had to get up there and make up for that. He jumped the route for sure, but had a little far upfield.
1st and 10, James Madison at the 30-yard line. And the first negative play of the day as Latrell Palmer dropped in the backfield, lost a couple yards on the play. Isaac Armstrong, a redshirt freshman from Lexington, Kentucky. Got there first.
Not going to change the pace, though, for the Dukes.
Johnson does hand it off. That looked like a face mask,
did.
and Palmer gets away from it and still bucks his way to the 35-yard line. That's just a power run for Latrell Palmer. Watch this move here.
Well, I thought he got one in the face mask here.
It looked like he got his head turned just a little bit right there.
Yep.
It looked like a shoulder maybe.
Okay.
Maybe got the jersey and yanked it around, and it looked like his head turned with it. And that sets up a 3rd down and 5 for the Dukes. Dukes are 1 out of 2 on 3rd down conversions thus far today. Johnson with 2 receivers to both sides, straight back to pass, looking over the middle, and he's going to find Cheatham.
Just
And
enough.
Does, as Cheatham was set up right there at the sticks. He gets 6 yards out of the play. 1st down for the Dukes, presented to you by Ergy's Cheesesteaks.
That's what Coach Signetti was talking about earlier this week. He says, you know, Cole's going to take a check down if it's there. He's not going to force something that isn't there. And obviously, you'd love something to get downfield. Cheatham set up in the perfect spot. They pick up the 1st down and move the sticks.
Dukes send Bracey out to that slot on the far side. Now it goes underneath to the slot on the inside, and that again is pulled in by Chris Thornton.
It's a nice play. Morehead's trying to say that the ball wasn't caught.
The officials aren't buying it. They'll spot the football at the 48-yard line right there at the JMU logo. Big logo here on Zane Shoker Field. Johnson in the backfield, standing back at the U. Going to go over the top, and he's got a free receiver. It's Thornton once again, and he's going to get away from everybody to the end zone. He goes. Touchdown, James Madison University. Chris Thornton from Manassas, Virginia, Osborne High School, transfer from VMI, has his first as a JMU Duke.
Well, I tell you, the speed after the catch, phenomenal.
Elusive, elusive, elusive. And the extra point to follow. Again, the long snapper, Kyle Davis, Alex Miller, the holder. And the place kicker is Ethan Radke. And the kick is up, and it is through there. 28-0, James Madison. 3 rushing scores. Cole Johnson, his first passing score this year. More JMU football coming up on Learfield IMG College. And welcome back, everyone, to Bridgeport Stadium. Kurt Dudley, Carl Magenhofer, Allie Barefoot with you. Some of our friends up on the hillside, you know, a lot of JMU fans, that's where they watched football in the old days, near the railroad tracks. Can't see the railroad tracks now, but of course, only 250 allowed in the stadium because of the COVID protocols, the state government regulations, and those are mostly, let's say, guest of the program is the way we categorize it. The Dukes leading at 28-0, and that last scoring drive was a 5-play, 70-yard drive, 2:08 off the clock, a 52-yard strike to Thornton from Johnson.
Well, they finally returned a kick.
Yes, they did. They went ahead.
Got a couple extra yards out of it.
So the Dukes playing 8 games. There are only a couple of teams from the CA playing today. Elon is playing Davidson, but the Dukes have an 8-game slate, and it's interesting. They'll play Robert Morris here next Saturday at noon, and then it's just play in your division this year. They've broken it up into division. The Dukes will play their games, 2 against William & Mary, Elon, and Richmond, home and away. The other division, which Towson has opted out this spring, they'll all play everyone else in the league one time, 3 home games and 3 road games. Quite different.
Yeah, different's the way to put it.
And overshooting is The pass attempted by Clayton. Again, this is the second series for Clayton. They went with Pappas originally, but Pappas just struggled with the pressure. Clayton at least can extend the plays a little bit. This time he's going to pull it right back. He's got a lot of running room. Now slides down. Oof. Tucker Dorsey got there and just does whiff on him, fortunately.
It gets scary when the quarterback slide.
Or was that Wesley McCormick, actually, number 5, not number 2?
Yeah, it was 5.
Yeah,
yep.
It was McCormick coming from the corner.
Who had been on the coverage the play before.
3rd down and 1.
Yeah, Clayton certainly brings them a lot more.
1 out of 6 on 3rd down conversions make it 2 out of 7. As skidding into the foreground is Earl Stoudemire from Shelbyville, Kentucky. 39 carries a year ago, averaged 4.6 yards per carry, 179 yards and 3 touchdowns for his work last year.
Wayne Davis finally got him down out there, but after a big pickup off left side.
1st down and 10 at the 49. Clayton getting them thinking about him from the JMU names as well. And doesn't get much territory out of that run, does Clayton.
Mateo Jackson there on the play.
Gain of a couple, 2nd down and 8. 5:30 to go. At halftime, we've got some basketball for you. Also, we'll take a look at JMU's first CA opponent, Elon. That's still in a couple of weeks. This time, Clayton will keep the football, tries to cut it up against the grain, and that's a tough way to go.
Yeah, that is not the direction to go in.
There's the fall schedule, which has been announced. You see Morehead State will open up the fall schedule once again. We'll be very familiar with them by that time. See Campbell coming on for the first time, and that's late in the season for a non-conference game. And the big one is Weber State, and the Dukes going out to Ogden, Utah for that one. Throw over the middle and caught. Big reception as hauling it in is B.J. Bird, and he picks up a 1st down at the 29-yard line. Morehead on the move here. 4:45 to go.
DeAndre Clayton again at quarterback, able to make some things happen back behind the line of scrimmage and just extend the play, make a play.
He has 1 in the backfield, 3 on the high side, the open side of the field. Looks that way. Now he looks like he's going to go to the middle. No, he's going to run with the football himself. And he is drugged down at the 30-yard line. Nowhere to go.
Looked a little indecision there. I think if he's going to pull it down, he needs to run it. He's got some wheels and he can pick up some yardage, but there got a little indecisive. Maybe thought, hey, can I keep it and maybe toss it downfield, as he has a couple of times. But it cost him yardage that time. It's no gain when I think he could have easily picked up at least 3 or 4 and kept things moving forward.
Tony Thurston, the nose guard for the Dukes, in pursuit that time and got some help. So 2nd down and 10, just inside the 30. Hand off to the running back, taken off his feet as the carrier was Stoudemire.
MJ Hampton got in there quickly, right on his hip.
MJ diving in and brought him down. MJ with one of the more exciting plays of 2019 when he returned to score on an interception against Villanova. The Wildcats looked like they were going to go in and take the score and take the lead, but that turned the tide, and the Dukes defeated the Wildcats here. Another big home win as the Dukes made their way to the 2019 National Championship. That was a regular season game against the Wildcats. Checking the clock down to 3 seconds. 2. They just do get it off. Here's Clayton rolling to the outside, pursued and knocked out of bounds. There's Hampton once again.
Dukes are kind of Dukes are kind of in a situation now where it's, fool me once, but they're going to have a spy every time. I think they're making sure he's not running with it.
They're going to set up for a field goal try. And so coming in is Andrew Foster.
48-yarder here.
Junior, 6'3", 227 pounds. So he'll put all of his leg into it here from 43 yards out.
As long as 45.
And that one won't make it but about 15. Partially blocked and it settles in at the 10-yard line. The Dukes blocking the field goal. Adib Atarawa was the last Duke to block a field goal. That came against Weber State in the playoffs. And Adib was one of those that went over to play at Virginia along with
I think they're crediting
D'Angelo
Thurston
Amos
with the block.
There's Thurston, the nose guard. Here it is. Yeah, I think you're right. Thurston turning to see number 65 show up for the Dukes out of Louisa, Virginia. Louisa Lion.
Oh, boy. Can't tell you how many times I went there or Amherst to watch a Harrisonburg High School season go down in flames.
So the Dukes will take over after the failed field goal attempt. They do so at their own 31. Hand off here to the near side. It is Van Horst, and he is wrestled down. And bringing him down, big number 98. He got a hold of him.
Last time I was at Louisa, they had a real lion.
You're kidding.
No.
Really?
They had a real lion.
Wow.
And a former JMU broadcaster said to me, I've seen how these end. The fat guy gets eaten.
Well, he's still alive, I trust.
Yes, yes.
Here's Cole Johnson, although I haven't seen him for a while, if I think I know who you're speaking of.
Yes.
Scott Bracey has his second catch for the Duke. By the way, speaking of, that kind of also reminds me, happy birthday today to Tom Sloniker, one of the earliest voices of the Dukes. His birthday is today. Lives over in the Charlottesville area. All three of his children attended James Madison. And that catch is made, but it ends up out of bounds. Bracey, though, showing his ability.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a guy who can get vertical. He can really lay out and get to the football. Just couldn't get any feet down.
But if you're Cole Johnson,
that's a little closer than I might have thought.
Cole Johnson, though, that's the spot you want to put it in. And you're inside your receiver and protecting the football from the defender. Second down and 10. Johnson from the shotgun is going to crank it up, going deep right side, and that's a turn looking for Kendall Dean, a redshirt junior out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. 28 games. This makes number 29 for Kendall. 67 career receptions, 877 yards, and 6 touchdowns.
Not bad. I mean, he got one-on-one coverage all alone. If he makes the catch, he's probably in the end zone.
Stops the clock with 1:29 to go before intermission. A couple of other JMU teams in action today, both men and women's golf. They're further south, thank goodness.
I was going to say, yeesh.
Here's Johnson back to pass. Plenty of time to throw. He's got an open seam and just misses his intended target. That was Antoine Wells, an exciting freshman from Highland Springs. The Dukes have had a number of springers that have come in and played well over the years.
Yeah, Wells didn't run that route full tilt. And I think if he had, he'd at least been in the neighborhood.
So Kelly will come in to punt for JMU. Holder should be back. Yes, ball shanked. It hit one of the Eagles, and it bounds out of bounds. Fortunate break for Morehead State.
I don't know if somebody got a hand on that or what happened. Of course, the ball does not come off traditionally off Kelly's foot.
Take a look at it once again here. I don't know if he just hooked it too much.
I mean, it had his typical whirly bird flight to it by design, and sometimes to the Duke's advantage.
Minute 15 to go before intermission, and the Morehead Eagles with the football once again. They've accrued 77 yards of total offense to the Duke's 287. And Pappas back in the lineup, and a misfire. And he went one way, his receiver went the other. They all look like timing patterns.
Yes.
But the timing is not there.
Well, yeah. I'm curious. Clayton at least was moving them down the field.
Well, they may be learning a lot about themselves in a game
you're
like
right.
today, too. Pappas this time goes back, and that's, again, turned to the outside. There was, but that ball was well underneath the play, however. That's Greg Ross, who is the transfer from North Carolina.
Well, I think placement of the football did not assist Morehead in any opportunity getting a flag thrown there.
That's my thought on that play too, Carl.
I think you're right.
Now, Greg Ross, we just showed you there, played in 24 games before transferring to James Madison out of North Carolina. Had a couple of pass breakups against Virginia Tech, part of his career highlights. And rumbling with the football is Isaiah Aguero, and he picks up a first down.
I was curious how effective they would be running the football. And we had talked extensively about how good the JMU run defense was last season. Of course, personnel is so very different.
It is, but just reload, right?
You're right.
And the Dukes, one I do want to mention, Isaac Ukwu. We expected him to be one of the defensive ends to emerge this year, but he again was injured in the offseason, so he's missing this year once more because of a knee injury. I feel I was fortunate to get to know Isaac very well. He took a class with me a couple of falls ago, and really want to see him get out there and see what he can do.
Stayed in school?
30-second time.
He stayed in school, that's right. He did. 22 seconds to go, timeout called. Again, coming up at halftime, we'll have a couple of basketball features for you. As the Eagles take the timeout. Rob Tenure in his 8th season. 30 and 50, trying to flip this a bit for the Eagles. Get this program rolling in the opposite direction. And they're not afraid to come here to Harrisonburg to face the Dukes.
No, not at all. And as you mentioned, they've already set a date or two in the future. They will play twice here in Harrisonburg in the calendar year.
And the one out even in 2023 has been scheduled. All right, Pappas back at quarterback, 22 seconds to go. The handoff, now it's the end around, and the ball is free on the turf. And it's maintained by Morehead State. That's trying to get too razzle and too dazzle.
That's right. It had razzle. They didn't get dazzle.
It almost was razzle disaster.
Yep. Boy, Dukes were close.
They were. And that'll do it for our first half of play. Well, James Madison scores 21 in the first quarter, all on the ground. Cole Johnson with a touchdown pass in the second. And that's where we are at intermission. 28-0 James Madison. Our halftime coming up next. You're watching JMU football from Learfield IMG College. Dukes 28, Eagles nothing here at halftime. I'm Kurt Dudley, Carl Magenhofer, Allie Barefoot. I think we sent Allie back out into the frigid temperatures once again. But let's talk about some of the other things that are happening this week. And of course, now, as I mentioned, football is home again next week before opening up conference play. That is a noon game against Robert Morris. The Colonials will come in next Saturday. Dorian Brooks will be back in town, former offensive lineman for the Dukes and for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Delighted to have him back in. Basketball tonight, the Dukes and the Delaware Blue Hens. That you can watch on your Flow Hoops subscription or your Flow Sports subscription. The Dukes and Delaware pretty darn good as we see. And tomorrow, we finally get the soccer season underway. The first game's at 1. I say the first because we've added a second game tomorrow. It's a double dip between the Dukes and Liberty. The first game featuring the women. The second game, the men. The men are ranked number 18 by Top Drawer Soccer. And that is at 5 o'clock. We'll not have coverage of that one because yours truly and company will be hustling back over to the Atlantic Union Bank Center for the second game of that series between the Dukes and Delaware. That game also on Flow Hoops. And in the Valley, it's on my valley as well. Well, Carl, talking about the legacy, the tradition, the culture at JMU, winners, and the Dukes have Super Bowl winners this past week, of course. Aaron Stenney, there you see, Earl Watford, and Josh Wells, all offensive linemen. In fact, Tampa Bay liked a lot of those FCS offensive linemen when it comes down to it. But you got to feel great for those guys. And Stenney thrown into a starting role late in the season to block on the right side for Tom Brady.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to talk to Aaron, and I know some folks did prior to the football game. And I guess what I would have loved to have known, what is it like the first time you're in a huddle with Tom Brady?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care where you are in the NFL, but I'm not sure there's going to be a huddle like that one where Tom Brady's the guy looking around and telling you, giving you the play. I got to imagine just what an opportunity for those guys. I heard the lengthy interview. Chris Brooks got an opportunity, I know, to chat to both Josh and to Aaron, and just some real interesting stuff about the way that they start their day and how they've got to eat spaghetti before every game, no matter, even if it's an early game. So it's like spaghetti for breakfast. Yeah.
Oh, well.
But,
they were in college at one time. Maybe that's kind of what they were used. Pizza for breakfast, of course. But
well, spaghetti's easy to make.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't want to cast aspersions on us, but, I mean, for guys, usually you're looking for something pretty easy to make.
Very true. Very true. Now, congratulations to those guys. That's wonderful for them to have that experience and to come out, as winners. Dukes have had several others in the past that have done that as well, and just adding again to that legacy, of course. Charles Haley was the only one that had 5 for a while, but then Mr. Brady has put him in the backseat in that category. But wonderful for former Dukes, and that just helps with the history of this James Madison football program. And again, in season number 49, and next fall, season number 50. But things are a little inverted. This is kind of strange, Carl. I'm starting my 34th season here, kind of officially this week, with the college baseball season for the Dukes starting yesterday. But it's odd because it's the 33rd football season before the 34th baseball season. It's not supposed to work that way for yours truly. It was inverted here, so.
Well, I mean, it's strange for everyone. We talked about the players, and I was listening to some folks in the press box when I got here, and they said this has the feel of a spring game, not just because of the date, but just the atmosphere or lack thereof in a way. It's very different, and you've seen an awful lot of basketball up close this season. The kids, a lot of times, they got to bring the energy themselves.
And I'll give them credit for that too. And that's one thing we talked before the ball game. We didn't talk about it on the air, but what we're going to see, I think, work out this spring, particularly for JMU athletes, is how committed were they? Well, all athletes. How committed were they during this unprecedented off season to their sport, and how well will they perform in their sport? Well, the Dukes will get a chance to perform with the football to start the second half, as JMU will get the football to start as they kicked off this season. And here we go with our second half of play. Fielded at the 6-yard line. Van Horst takes a jump step to the outside. Can't quite get around the corner and is drug out of bounds, and there are flags coming in. I think there may have been a grab of a face mask potentially.
Well, you could choose face mask. You could choose out-of-bounds tackle. Wow.
I see the replay
all
here.
All of the laundry.
Yep. There. Oh, my gosh. He got not one but 2 hands on the face mask. That's almost flagrant. And we shall see. And that looks like it was
Tyler Noble, I would believe.
Okay. So we'll see what comes out with that. As Noble, the senior defensive back.
There it is. Jeez.
Personal foul. Face mask. Return team number 3. Personal foul. Face mask.
Offset. I was going to say they both had grasped the face mask. That last angle they gave us from the truck was right on it, where you could see both guys had grasped the face mask. So they're going to make them re-kick?
Yes, it looks like they will.
Huh.
So we get to see it all over again. Nathan Hazlett, redshirt freshman, will get a chance to kick it back. This time it's Hamilton and Solomon. Hamilton was back there last time as well. So we'll do it all over again. So that took 8 seconds.
Love when it takes longer to sort out than to play.
It does to play. How about that? Dukes with 287 yards total offense in the first half, 81 for Morehead State, 78 of that in the air for Morehead, only 3 yards rushing. The Dukes a little more balanced, 127 in the air, 160 on the ground. As we'll try it once more. And a little shorter this time, and a fair catch called for and received at the 25-yard line.
Up guys just want to make sure they make the catch. Can't complain about that. Noah Turner.
The Turner, the tight end.
North Carolina transfer.
Yep. So Cole Johnson will come back out to start the second half for the Dukes.
Thought they got away a little bit from the running game late in that first half. We'll see if they return to it here.
Well, it certainly looks like with this formation potentially. The handoff, though, goes to Van Horst, who is tripped up.
Nice play by Noble, and Van Horst chose the wrong angle there. He should have cut up field when he had that little spot. Instead, he kept going east and west, and Noble made him pay for it.
Yeah, if he cuts up and maybe spins, he may be on to the house. Second down and 9. Van Horst with that's just his second carry of the afternoon. Handoff goes again. This time it's Perseus Obase, and he picks up a Fergie's cheesesteak first down. That is the 13th of the ball game for the Dukes.
That is some nice inside running after they stretch it to the outside. Now some inside running, and picks up the first down.
Single man in the backfield, 2 receivers, a one top, tight on the line of scrimmage there for the Dukes as well, and running straight ahead it's Ajay Obase. Again on the offensive line for the Dukes, Ray Gillespie, Truvell Wilson, they return on the left side at tackle and guard respectively, and then for Nattle, the right tackle. The newcomers are J.T. Timming, the center, who is a redshirt senior, and Nick Kidwell, redshirt sophomore, is the right guard.
It's good one-cut carry for 5 yards.
Ajay Obase with patience tiptoes his way. Only gains about 3, and that's going to bring the Dukes shy by a couple of yards. Here comes Hamilton back into lineup for the Dukes.
I don't think Percy ever really found a spot where he could lower the shoulder and start running. Just trying to pick his way, as you said, a patient run, but nothing ever really opened up for him for big yardage. He did pick up a couple.
Third down for the Dukes. They are 2 out of 4 on third down conversions. They hand off, and the first down, popping it to the outside, and first down for James Madison. And that is Hamilton with the carry for the Dukes.
Isaiah Tigler on the outside, the defensive back, makes a heck of a play. Otherwise, this could go for really big yardage. Just cuts him down right at midfield.
So it's 1st and 10 just inside Morehead State territory. Handoff again, popping to the outside once more. It is Hamilton. And he nearly picks up another first down for the Dukes.
Well, Hamilton may have the hot hand right now.
It is just shy, I believe, of the first down. He's going to get 9 as they spot it right at the 40-yard line. Needed to get up to the 39. Hamilton already with 1 touchdown today. 3 receivers set to the top side of the field. Handoff to Palmer, and he is ridden down. But he does pick up the first down.
Rodeoed down there in the middle of the line.
Yeehaw. And Rob Snyder out of St. Peter. Palmer stays in the lineup to the right hip. Takes the handoff. And he'll whirl his way down to the 30. Well, you said Duke's got a little bit away from the running game. They're back at it.
You were 100% right. But look at, I mean, one guy runs, they bring in another one. It's just, and that's how it is. And the Dukes have it that way.
Yeah, they're going just to, well, Coach Signetti said recently, if a back runs it back to back, they're going to bring in another fella. And here goes Hamilton. And they're getting 5-6 yards per carry and moving the sticks every other carry.
Well, this is kind of what you thought the JMU offensive line would be able to do, is really open up some holes, and these guys toting the football more than talented enough to run through those holes.
Van Horst will come in now to spell quickly. He'll take the handoff. No, that's actually Percier Obase who just does the jump cut.
Another play in there by Noble. Got his hands on a lot of guys, and secondary's having to make so many tackles.
Takes it down to the 14. 2nd down and 1. Like Coach Signetti said, Shane Montgomery, just run the football here this series, and they do pick up another 1st down. Happen to see Coach Montgomery real quickly upstairs, the offensive coordinator for the Dukes. Played his football at NC State. Dukes have retained their same coordinators as they did last year.
It's hard to do.
Corey Heatherman, the defensive coordinator, and Montgomery coaches the quarterbacks, the offensive coordinator as well. And there you see Palmer struggling ahead past the 10. And we have an injured Morehead State player. And then your special teams coach once again is Grant Kane.
This could be a big hit for them. This could be whiny.
Actually, the Duke. All right, we're going to take a timeout since we do have a player down on the field for Morehead State. Let's hope the young man is fine. 9:31 to go in the 3rd quarter. Duke's leading at 28-0. You're watching JMU football from Learfield IMG College. Welcome back, everyone. Bojangles is the official tailgate partner of JMU Athletics. Don't forget to pick up your Bo box and cheer on the Dukes. It's Bo time. Well, the Dukes 28-0, but they are deep inside Morehead State territory once again. 2nd down from the from the Morehead State 10, that is. Johnson. It is Terrell Palmer. Palmer inside the 5 down to the 2. He may have a 1st down. It's going to be pretty tight.
Pinballed his way down there. I thought it was going to ricochet him into the end zone.
Yeah, he got some momentum.
Just not quite enough.
And it is a 3rd and short situation. So Palmer stays in to the right of Johnson. Takes the handoff, and he waltzes into the end zone unscathed, and he has his 2nd touchdown of the season. And that pushes the score 34-0 James Madison. So Palmer becomes the first Duke with a multiple touchdown game in 2021.
You're going to fire the cannon. There he goes.
One of the other traditions. Those guys are at least still here.
Yes.
They're hanging out.
Now, they used to be in a different position. You talked earlier about the fans being out there on the hill. And, you know, folks used to stake out very different positions before the superstructure was over here in this one end zone.
All right, Ethan Radke tacks on the point after. 35-0 James Madison. Palmer with his 2nd score of the day. And we'll be back with more from Bridgeport Stadium. After these words, you're watching JMU football from Learfield IMG College. If you're a JMU fan, 6th grade or below, register to win the Top Dog Experience presented by Riddleberger Brothers Incorporated. To register for the VIP experience, visit jmusportshop.com/topdog. The kickoff after the Terrell Palmer 2nd touchdown. That's his 2nd career 2-touchdown game. He also did so against Elon last year on the road. And Morehead State will start the next possession at the 34-yard line. Well, the Dukes were using a lot of technology in the athletic program to try to mitigate the spread of COVID. And we're going to join Allie Barefoot with more tech talk on how the Dukes are doing so. Allie?
Well, thanks, Kurt. Well, the JMU Athletics Department has worked endlessly to try to make the most unusual year in sports move a little more seamlessly amongst their sports programs. Well, to do so, they've invested in Connexicon Safe Zone devices. Now, these devices can be worn on the ankles, the wrists, or under the player's jersey, and it helps detect and warn the player when they've been too close to each other for longer than 15 minutes. Now, after that data is recorded, it can be quickly accessed and can be looked through to see who needs to quarantine due to contact tracing, which, end result, can reduce the amount of times you have to have postponements or pauses. The athletics coaches wear them during practices, games, and meetings to attempt to overcome the physical distancing challenges and help contain the spread, guys.
Yeah, it's really interesting. For example, Sean O'Regan, he has one. He wears it on his ankle. You don't see him on the wrist. A lot of the players wear it on their wrist. And it also helps, if teams are coming in, from what I understand, too, knowing, for example, Hofstra was here a couple of weeks ago in basketball and then had to go on pause. Well, it was right after JMU played, but they knew how much time they spent around each other and could make their decision as to whether somebody needed to go into quarantine or not. So that's one way that they're keeping the Dukes playing. Thank you, Allie.
Looked like MJ Hampton came in to blow that last play up. They'll lose yardage on the first down run. I'm really surprised that it's Pappas who's there at quarterback.
They look like different teams with Pappas or Clayton in there, and that pass incomplete, just off the mark, diving out for the incompleted pass.
Now, Greg Ross was there with some good coverage as well.
So 4th and 12, and that makes it 4 out of 11 on third down attempts.
Well, that rushing difference, 234 to 1 right now. Dukes have rushed for 234 yards. Of course, they picked up quite a few just to start this second half, but then holding Morehead to 1 yard.
Here's Foster to punt. He's averaged 39.8. This one won't get quite the distance. Oh, maybe it will. He'll get the favorable bounce. It's not the prettiest of punts, but boy, it was effective. And we'll go to a commercial message for you as the Dukes leading at 35-0. Sunny afternoon, but it's a cold one in Harrisonburg. In February football it is. More of JMU football from Learfield IMG College in just a moment. Once again of JMU football this spring of 2021. CarMax, the way car buying should be. Campus of James Madison University.
Beautiful winter scene for spring football.
We've had quite a few winter scenes.
We have.
In the valley since winter has gotten deep. And the handoff, and that doesn't go very far for the Dukes. And Cole Johnson at the helm of the Dukes, the quarterback.
Hasn't thrown a pass in the second half.
He's 8 for 12 in the ball game, 127 yards, and 1 touchdown to Chris Thornton. Hands the football off, breaking to the outside. There is a seam, and down to the midfield on his way. That's Perseus Obase, and he's pushed out just inside the 15-yard line.
Doesn't take much, does it?
No, it does not. Percy, very explosive. All-CA first-teamer last year. 5 games with at least 100 yards rushing and a touchdown last season. Third-team All-American by Hero FCS. Johnson throws it for the first time this half. It's caught on the outside. The battle. And coming up just shy of the first down marker. Ravenel makes his first catch. Devin, a junior, younger brother of Brandon Ravenel. North Stafford High School, 26 games. That's his, let's see, he had 172 career receiving yards coming in. And the handoff, trying to get to the outside, and he does. Racing to the end zone. Hamilton has his second score of the day.
Hamilton beat him to the edge. It was not a quick trip, but able to beat him to the edge.
And he did have to cover quite a bit of ground to pick up a couple of yards, but it is all worth 6 points for the Dukes. It was a 9-yard pass to Ravenel, then sets up the long short run, if you would. And it's a 6-yard run. Radke will come in for the point after. 4 plays, 70 yards. And Radke adding yet another point for the Dukes. So 42-zip James Madison.
Boy, 4 plays, 70 yards, $1:22 off the clock. And here's that run by Hamilton. Just gets out there.
Radke busy again today, all on extra points. 6. He led the CA last year, 160 points, and his 27 field goals last year set a CAA record.
Now, did I read it right? He made 79 extra points last year.
That's probably right. I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head.
That's like a career's worth. I think it was 79 of 80 was the stat I think I saw.
It's interesting. He needs 1 field goal to move into second on the CA career list.
You missed the cutout. Somebody in, I don't know if it was their hamster or gerbil.
There are some interesting cutouts around the stadium. Just a few thus far. We probably will get a few more as the season progresses on.
There it is.
There you go. There's your hamster. And yes, and I like the mask, huh?
Masked up? Yeah. Bring your hamster to the game day. I think that could be a promotion coming up, Kurt.
Well, there's a couple of others with dogs. You know, everybody's version of their own Duke dog. And yeah, a
very
few of
nice.
those. Yeah, see, well, there is Duke dog a couple of times. There's a lot of Jimmy Madisons in the crowd too. Many of them over at the Atlantic Union Bank Center as well. It's kind of funny. Every time I walk through, they go, "Hey, I know that person. Hey, I know that person. There's Mark Hoskins. Wow. How you doing, Mark?" All right, 1st and 10. Back to business here. Morehead State firing it up, and the pass was caught. Can't advance it much further as losing his footing. Morehead receiver. That time it was pulled in by Thomas Campbell Clay. By the way, they're playing without Devontae Adams, who last year had 48 receptions, 685 yards. He's a big loss. Floated out there and overthrown everybody. And we still actually, you know, talk about Devontae Adams. We knew he wasn't going to be here today,
Yeah.
but Vaughn Taylor, we still haven't seen him. We featured him in the onset of today's game, but still haven't seen him defensively.
They left all the 7 jerseys home
I guess so. Maybe that was it. They were not clean.
because both Adams and Taylor wear number 7.
Here's 3rd and short, 2.5. Pappas wants to throw it. He's going to roll out. He's in pursuit. Chucks it up, and it is intercepted. Yes, jumping the route just in time is Q Reed for JMU.
Wow.
Q Reed's second career interception. That's a great play.
Had to come back as you see him try and throw across his body here late. My goodness.
So the intended receiver was B.J. Bird, number 1 of Morehead State, but instead it ends up in the hands of JMU's number 1, Q Reed.
That is a heck of a play.
The Dukes have their second interception of the day. Wayne Davis had one in the first half. His 5th of his JMU career. So Reed with 2 for the Dukes. Said he jumped the route. It's more like he just jumped in there. There was no route to be had.
No.
And the handoff and taking that route almost to a first down was Jay Obase. Now, check that, please. That was
Van Horst.
Van Horst. The 3 and the 31s. I keep seeing the angle of 3. Van Horst will stay in. 3 receivers to the right, including the tight end just off the flank. And here's Solomon. He'll rumble ahead, and he picks up the first down.
2 carries in a row. That means head to the sidelines. That'll bring up another. Looks like it's going to be. Who's that? Palmer, I think, who's going to come in.
And Palmer to the right. Fakes the handoff to Palmer and then passes to Palmer out in the flat. Palmer eludes a tackle and nearly picks up. He might get the first down on the lunge at the end. And looks like he does.
Spun away from Vincent Winey on the sideline. My goodness, what a play there. Look at this. Just spins away and then picks up another 5-6 yards. I think, yeah, jumped across the line for the first down.
Palmer hasn't been used all that much in that part of the game. Most of his has just been power running, not much in terms of receiving the football. There is more like the
power running.
There's the power run.
Get what, 9 or?
He got 9. Yeah, Palmer last year had the 100-yard game against Villanova, and again, a lot of that came late in the contest against the Wildcats. Finished up with 4 touchdowns. Played in 9 games last year. And here is Cole Johnson. He keeps himself and comes up shy of the first down.
Well, a lot of extracurricular over there.
Yeah, I thought a separate event was taking place.
Yes, that's right.
It was a wrestling match taking place over on the far hash.
I don't know how many times I want Cole Johnson under one of those giant linemen, though.
They'll give it back to Hamilton. Finds his way up the middle and can't quite keep his footing, but he does pick up a first down.
Lost an edge at the 5.
He was on his way to his 3rd touchdown today, and he's disappointed with himself. Slick sailing that time for Hamilton.
Well, Morehead had something to do with that, so give him some credit.
They tripped him up. Oje Obase takes the handoff, and he gets his way into the end zone. Is it a touchdown? Yes, it is. So Percy has a score as he'll roll on in, and the Dukes get their 7th touchdown of the afternoon. 6 on the ground, 1 in the air. And that's the first of the season for Percy Ajay Obase, the 22nd of his career.
4th different running back to make their way into the end zone today.
That's his 13th carry, and he's over 100 yards rushing once again today. For Percy, he's kind of done it quietly because they've just all spaced it out.
Radke again.
Miller gets the hold, and that is through there for Radke. 49-0 James Madison. 2:58 to play in the 3rd quarter. Opening day for the Dukes. A 7-play 50-yard drive, 2:52. And Percy with the score for James Madison. Percy Ajay Obase.
Just exerting their will on that offensive line, Kurt.
Well, we've seen, you were talking about as many running backs as the Dukes have. Well, it is deep. Allie has more on that depth that the Dukes do have.
Well, senior running back Juwan Hamilton said, pick your poison when talking about the 6 deep that could all potentially see playing field in the backfield today. But the Dukes will most likely rely on their veteran experience and senior Percy Ajay Obase and Juwan Hamilton, as they both took home all CAA honors last season. But you will see reps from redshirt sophomore Solomon Van Horst, who got 6 starts with 382 rushing yards last season, along with true sophomore and the bruising back Latrell Palmer, who we've seen in the end zone twice today, Kurt. He had 60 carries for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. But there's 2 freshmen who are also in that mix, with redshirt freshman Austin Douglas, who played in 4 games last season, but then took that redshirt to retain an extra year of eligibility. And the new kid on the block is Kaylon Black, a true freshman who impressed Sean Miller and Kurt Signetti in the offseason enough to put him in the depth chart. But Coach Kurt Signetti said the biggest issue at running back is getting them all reps. There's so many of them. That's not a bad thing when you can get nicked up pretty easily when you run the ball as much as we do, guys.
Yeah, and you know, it's really, you go back to the culture thing too, and it's very important. You're trying to keep everybody happy, but you do it in a team fashion. And what I like, when you go and watch these guys work out a lot, they've gone back to the other quarterback with Clayton out there. They have pride in one another. So they enjoy each other's successes. So there's not this animosity, or there's not this jealousy when they go out and they accomplish things, because the team is accomplishing things. And when you're winning championships, all kinds of folks can contribute.
And they certainly do.
That pass is caught, nicely done so on the outside, as pulling it in, the one-handed grab. That's Guilfoyle
again, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Played in all 12 games last year. 6th best on the team in receiving last year with the 12 catches, 129 yards. 7 yards. The Bulldogs. Pioneer League is really spread out. It's all over.
Like the Pioneers.
That's right. They went where no man had gone before.
They moved the pile enough. Yes, they did.
They do pick up the first down. That is number 8. The Dukes have 23 Ergie's cheesesteak first downs today. That sounds good right now, doesn't it?
It sure does.
My stomach just growled, I think, just saying that.
First and 10 at the 37-yard line.
At the 37. And keeping the football is the QB, as Clayton will rumble straight ahead. 6'2", 195 pounds. He, too, is from the Commonwealth out of Lorton, Virginia. And ended up at Morehead by way of Malone.
Kentucky.
What's that?
Isn't Kentucky a Commonwealth?
Commonwealth.
As well?
You're right. You're right. One Commonwealth to another. Second down and 9 again. This time he's going to flare it out to the left side. Well, that ball was hanging up there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think you want to throw anything that stays in the air very long.
That's Hunter Richardson, redshirt sophomore, 6'1", 230-pounder that comes up with it. That was close to being a pick 6 for the Dukes. That was just a step or two away from taking it to the house. See Julio AML out there. Of course, Azanama was ejected earlier in the game for the helmet-to-helmet. So we're seeing, although we would have seen AML out there today anyway. And he flips that pass, and it's M.J. Hampton right there on the tackle.
What a tackle. Because if he doesn't make that, there's nobody else that's going to stop him from moving the sticks.
Michael Amore, the receiver, a freshman, was Northern Kentucky first team as a high school player.
That's going to do it for the quarter.
And that is the quarter. And we're going to take a commercial message between the breaks, of course. We go to the fourth quarter. The Dukes 49. Morehead still looking for points today. You're watching JMU football from Learfield, IMG College, back in just. Welcome back, everyone, to Harrisonburg, Virginia. Some additional fans have made their way up there. I like the beanbag chairs up there. That's pretty comfortable, it looks. I wonder if they're heated.
That would be extra comfortable.
Be a good idea, would it not?
Yeah.
Fourth quarter we go into, and the Dukes will get the football on this punt exchange. Fair catch called for and made. Again, the sun in the eyes of Mr. Schroba, but he does make the successful grab. Take a look at Jawan. He has had a pretty good day. We could probably do this on most weekends. We would anticipate, just pick your poison, as he likes to say. And he was part of the big poison pill today for the JMU offense.
Couple of touchdowns. This was a really good one. Jabbed up the middle and then cut to the outside.
He picks up a couple here this afternoon. Terrell Palmer had a couple. And there is Mr. Douglas. So we'll see another one of the running backs for the Dukes that Allie just talked about.
The freshman. Alfreda, Georgia.
Yeah, Austin Douglas. He's kind of one of those shifty kind of runners too. So the Dukes have power. They have those that have shifty ability, if you want to use it that way. And the Dukes have also gone to Gage Maloney at quarterback, appearing in his 9th game for the Dukes. 5 out of 8 on passes last year, 116 yards and 2 career touchdowns. Played in 5 of those 8 games last year, so the 8 games his career. And he finds Douglas out on the right side, and he picks up her first down.
Couple of runs and a catch. Nice.
That's another Ergie's cheesesteak first down, says some dude here in the stadium.
I do like the zip on Gage's pass there.
Looks like the Dukes have gone a little more deep here on other players. Seeing Josh Sims out there. I think he might have been the intended receiver. The ball knocked down.
You know, it's one thing I really like. You get your backup quarterback in, and a lot of times all they get to do is hand the football off. He's already thrown a couple of passes here. And you want to get him involved. You got to really get him involved. Drew him off sides.
There's a flag that comes out. Some contact down the field. No flag there. Yeah, I do see some new jerseys down there. The center is Jay Glavin from Malvern
Offside.
Prep out of Chester
Defense,
Springs, Pennsylvania.
Number 98. 5-yard penalty. Replay
There
first
he
down.
was. Just pulled him off sides. A couple of guys on the left side of that Morehead line.
The Dukes had that free play, but they'll pick up 5 yards.
Correction, it's
All
second down.
said and done. Like Stanley Hubbard is at left guard too for the Dukes. Let's see if we can get some of these other fresh names out there for you. And Douglas, well, looked like he was down. He stands back up. He took a pretty good pop there, quite frankly, but he ends up with an additional yard or two.
I think a 3rd and very manageable. 3rd and 2. Working quickly.
So the Dukes have gone to 5 backs thus far. And that 5th back picks up a first down.
I know he's supposed to be the shifty guy, but good grief. A couple of strong runs these last 2.
Well, you know, the other thing, too, is freshmen sometimes come in shifty, but after a year in the weight room, they add some power.
Yes. Realizing at this level, shifty means hurt.
Well, it certainly, if you can maintain the shiftiness and add that power, the left-handed Gage throws the pass, and it's a little too much mustard that time. And I tell you, some of those, the Dukes are wearing, the receivers do have the gloves on, but they could sting on days like today. I mean, the JMU baseball Dukes playing at Carolina, I'm sure a lot of contact off the aluminum bats today.
Yikes.
Or you're feeling it for a while.
That's when you get that little thumb thing.
Yeah, that would help.
Yeah.
Yes, that little it kind of deadens the vibration. Congratulations
They
to
still
Jake
use
Lowry.
those.
Ineligible
old school.
receiver
What's
downfield.
that?
Number
They
85.
still use
I
those?
honestly don't
5-yard
know.
penalty. Replay first down.
5-yard penalty assessed against the Dukes. Congratulations, Jake Lowry. He's got a general manager job. A field manager job at the in the Gulf Coast League for the Washington Nationals organization. That was just announced a day or so ago. There's Palmer. Bounces off a tackler. Still on his feet. And he is stopped at the 46 before he is pushed back.
So what you're telling me is Mr. Lowry is in better weather than I am today.
Probably so. Probably so. Yes.
No one in the Gulf Coast League should be seeing snow.
Well, neither should they be in Dallas, Texas, or Houston
You're
for
right.
that matter. So, and you know, our thoughts are with them. I know a lot of alums that are in the Texas in general. And there's a rocketed pass, and Maloney connects with his receiver on the far side.
It's a good catch. I don't know how he fit it in that window. 2 guys over there. Somehow able to hit his intended receiver. Was that Wells?
I think, yes, it was. Antoine Wells, thank you. He's trying to pick that up.
Freshman out of Richmond.
Yeah, Coach Signetti really high on that young man. We'll see more of him, I'm sure. Rolling out, it's Maloney, and he finds an open receiver and a diving catch and another first down. That's Josh Sims. Josh Sims, he is happy all the time. I don't get that's the one thing. Let me say this too. I've said it about basketball. If you've listened to those games we've done, because of the COVID, we've not had the chance to really get down and meet the players and be around the players as regularly. I feel like I'm outside a bubble from many of them, which is really one of the things when you work in college athletics you enjoy doing, is getting to know all these youngsters and young men and women, and you get to know them as they go through their lives basically now with social media. But that's one thing that really has they're doing their thing, they're making their commitment, and that brings it to another point, is that Curt Signetti, we mentioned the keys to the game, the keys to the season are be available.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're not on, do all you can to stay as healthy as you possibly can so that you can play this game, and that's for any sport.
The best ability, availability.
Yes. And that means that you have to be committed, and that's what these athletes are doing.
Coach said he thought, his team has made just great decisions off of the football field, and how important that is. And he was talking about he's never felt more like a CEO and less like a coach.
Right. Well,
in his
yeah,
life.
for them too. I mean, there's all the. You're staying in contact in a pod situation. As there's Douglas again, almost went to the ground, gets right back up. And he's going to come up way shy of the first down.
You let Ethan try a really long one or no?
They may just go for it here. It looks like Signetti's just walking the sideline right now.
Yeah. I thought, geez, that is some fight, as he almost got bent all the way down to his helmet on the ground.
So Douglas will stay back in the backfield with Maloney. Power is to the right as they tighten the formation, but it is a pass. Gage looking left, now goes over the middle, finds the man, and it's complete for the first down. I like the decision. I like the check down. You got to like the completion.
Most of all, you got to like the pocket they gave him. He had all the time in the world. Take a look how clean he is. Just fantastic. Didn't even have to step up in the pocket, just able to step into the throw and fire a strike there at the 20 and move the sticks.
It's Drew Painter, the receiver, the tight end for the Dukes. Drew's brother Dylan is the leading rebounder in the CAA at Delaware. And here's Maloney on his own accord, although he takes a good pop at the end as he's dropped right shy of the 15.
Yeah. Preston Toner, a freshman linebacker, got him here at the end. See this? Whop. Jeez. Had a guy around his ankles, and then somebody comes in and gets the top.
Maloney will this time hand it off to Palmer, and he reverses his field and takes it up the middle and gains 5 ultimately.
He's more than just power. It's a nice cutback, because there was nothing, as they had really done a good job of stretching him out here on this near sideline.
It may take power to pick up the first down. 3rd down and 1.
That's why they're leaving him in there.
Dukes look like they left a little too early, but
agree.
maybe not. They do not throw a flag, and it's a first down as Palmer still on his feet, and he drags the crowd. Was the ball loose?
Yep,
They're scrambling as if it were on the far side.
I think Tigler recovered.
All right, let's watch it on the replay.
The ruling on the field is a forward fumble that went out of bounds. It's returned to the spot of the fumble.
Okay.
Result of the play is a first down.
Continuing to fight.
Oh, he's going to do that.
And the ball just,
Wow, it was out. It had to go a long way to get out of bounds.
Here's where he loses it. Look, he's at the hash. He's just past the hash, and it gets all the way out of bounds.
He looked like a couple of Morehead State players batting the ball, trying to pick it up. So it results in a first down.
The ruling of a forward fumble out of bounds, recovered by the offense, is under further review.
Okay, so they're going to take a look at it.
We looked at it for him.
Yeah, we did.
We're good with it.
Continue on. Play on, 7:43. A little bit more about Gage Maloney since we've got a moment. He's from Rock Hill, South Carolina. 6'2", 216 pounds, redshirt junior. As they watch that play once again. Gage Michael Maloney. And was a 2016 South Carolina Mr. Football Award winner. Charlotte Observer, first team All-Observer selection as a junior. And in high school, combined to throw for over 6,700 yards, 71 touchdowns.
Wow.
So he's put it up in the air quite a bit. Again, a redshirt junior. And Cole has made, as Coach Signetti, sometimes you're looking for just what that very subtle but can be very big separation is. We've seen it happen in college quarterbacks a lot. I remember when Mickey Matthews was the head coach, and he's trying to determine which quarterback he's going to go with when you've got a couple of guys that have been around for a while and know the system for a while, and you're just looking for that 1 degree of difference that can make the difference in the outcome.
Really, my impression, just from what he said, is he just thought Cole a little bit better in the decision-making department. And that's not saying Gage made bad decisions. That's just saying...
What's the consistency over time?
Right.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. First and goal, James Madison.
So they're good with that. We could have saved them the time, right?
That's right, yeah. we got it covered up here.
So first and goal from the 5. Duke's looking to get past the 50-point barrier. Hold on. Got a whistle.
False start.
False start.
Offense, number 55.
It's funny.
5-yard penalty.
It's funny there's a false start
down
there, because on the play where they fumbled, I thought they moved early, and to be honest with you, I thought it was the running back.
I did too.
Who moved early.
I did too. That's what I saw was the step.
Yes.
That first step that he takes out of that formation was what I saw. And they do call the penalty on Ronald Altman from Lake Braddock. He's used to wearing purple.
Yeah.
The Bruins of Lake Braddock wear purple. The handoff up the middle. That Palmer again. He gets bent back this time.
No gain.
It is second and goal from the 10.
I think that was Douglas.
It was Douglas, the carrier. Yes. Beg your pardon.
2s and 5s, numbers that are not easy either.
Not when your glasses are fogging up,
I understand,
too. I mean, that's,
yes.
that has, quite honestly, that's been a bit of a challenge today. Handoff to Douglas. He tried to cut it back, and when he does, he is met by Jaleel Holmes.
There's a real thin line between patient and indecisive.
True.
When you're a running back.
Yes.
And that was on the indecisive side of things.
Well, the Dukes have been very decisive with the offense all in all. 550 yards of total offense to this juncture. .6:11 to go. Maloney. Lefty back to pass, surveys, and he's hit as he throws. And the ball goes errant, but into the turf. So on comes the field goal unit. And Ethan Radke, Miller the holder, Davis the long snapper. And so Radke will go to try to tie Greg Kuhn at number 2 with 59 career field goals in the CAA. And Radke only a junior, so he's got quite a bit of football in front of him. Snap, good. And it is through there for Ethan Radke, so he ties Greg Kuhn. And I'll tell you Greg Kuhn's story when we return. The Dukes leading at 52-0 5:57 to play here in Harrisonburg. We'll return you to the Berg after these words on Learfield IMG College. Pepsi is the official beverage provider of JMU Athletics. The Dukes are about to kick it off, and the ball fell off the tee as Connor Madden was about to approach it. He'll try it once again. It has been a little breezy here today, which has impacted the chill a bit. Good deep kick into the end zone. There we go. I was talking about Greg Kuhn. JMU fans that have been around since the 2004 national championship may have remembered that season. I'll have to tell you that story in a moment because they're sending us to a commercial break again. So hold that one more time, that thought. We'll have it for you when we return from Learfield IMG College.
What up, everybody?
Chilly day in the Berg. Boy, their body heat there to try to keep everybody warm. That's the one good thing about the face mask. They do help a little bit under these circumstances. But
That's right.
52-0.
I should have brought a blanket. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's getting chilly in the booth too, I must say. Thank goodness the Atlantic Union Bank Center is warm tonight. That is going nowhere.
Yikes.
And that was James Carpenter in on the tackle. Let's watch this again. Big James out of Roanoke, Virginia.
Third Morehead quarterback in the ball game now. This is freshman Grady Kramer. Fort Thomas, Kentucky.
Kramer will flare it out to the right side, and the tackle cut down.
What an open field tackle. My goodness.
It was a nice one, certainly made. That's Sammy Malignaggi with the tackle. The Dukes they've gone really deep on their defense this time. Got some new names, new faces.
And they've stepped up.
Third down and long. Now rotate the coverage as the man goes in motion. And it won't matter. Well, maybe it will. Rolling out of it. Looking downfield, and it is a caught pass. We have a flag down the field.
Late hit. I think they're going to call roughing the quarterback.
Oh, that's too bad.
Personal foul.
Yes.
Roughing the passer.
Yep.
Defense, number 47. 15-yard penalty from the end of the play. Automatic first down.
Mike Wilcox called for that infraction on the Dukes.
Didn't need it. Even if that pass was caught, it was right at the first stick. They still had another 10 yards to go. But a fresh set of downs for Morehead. Well, you can see the wind.
Yes.
It's pushing all sorts of stuff across the field.
Right in the face of the Eagles. Over the middle, man is wide open, but he overshot him. All right, back to that Kuhn story. In fact, I've started several times. People are telling me the story on Twitter now. They know what I'm going with. He hit the field goal in the closing moments here against the Dukes, William and Mary. That was the only FCS loss the Dukes had that season. They ended up the year 13-2, winning the national championship, and that was a stunner. I remember remember it just getting over the crossbar on the goalpost when we were actually working from the press box on the other side. Greg Kuhn. So he is tied now, and he's 16th all-time is Ethan Radke for career field goals with 59. The record in the CA is Aiden O'Neill, who just finished his career at Towson in 2019. Dumping that pass off, but he's incomplete with the pass. O'Neill ended up with 64, so certainly well within range of Radke's ability this spring.
Sean Johns applying the pressure. Freshman out of Leesburg, Virginia. 6'3", 250. Yeah, there's Kramer. 6'3", 218, the redshirt freshman.
Put your man in motion.
Trial by fire.
And maybe an illegal shift.
That was what I was thinking, shift.
False start. Offense, number 73. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Yes, some of the new names out there. Sammy Malinagi. Also, you see the hair out there is easy to find. And that is Seth Nautala.
A young man who just had the penalty called against him. This may be as close to a home game as he'll play. He's from Harper's Ferry.
Neat place to visit if you've never been there.
Gorgeous, gorgeous.
Put your walking shoes on, though.
Yes. Make sure your kayak has a skirt.
That's true. Thrown behind the intended receiver. That's an incomplete pass.
Pass incomplete, intended for Rivenberg.
Carter Rivenberg was the intended receiver there, and anybody who knows football around the Shenandoah Valley knows Carter Rivenberg's name. One of the last times he was on this field, I think he rumbled for 326 yards, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
With the Buffalo Gap Bison in one of those. They play these Valley Showcase games here, the Valley Classic, and he had a whale of a ball game when Gap played here. Ooh.
He transferred out of Virginia Tech, and that's shanked out. And the Dukes will take over with excellent field position. With 3:42 to go, we've got another break to get to. We're going to get there right now as the Dukes leading at 52-0 over Morehead. And we'll continue with more football from Learfield IMG College. .342 remaining in this contest. The Dukes up 52-0. JMU with the football once again. Gage Maloney, is he at quarterback? Do we have a new player out there?
New quarterback.
The ball is loose, unfortunately, as Douglas on the carry. And it looks like the Dukes will turn the football over for the first time this year.
Ruling on the field is a fumble, recovered by the defense.
That's unfortunate, as the Dukes were going to get a chance to see Patrick Bentley at quarterback a bit. But instead, Morehead State will get the football back.
I saw Patrick warming up here on the sideline. One play and out, though, unfortunately for him and the Dukes. We'll see what Morehead does, as they've already used several different quarterbacks in the game. The most recent, Grady Kramer, the freshman. Still in there.
He is. He's going to run with the football this time. And he slides down before he gets contact at the JMU 45-yard line. Dukes right now, can they preserve the shutout?
That's always got to be difficult when you're these guys. You talked about how they've gone so deep. You got all these freshmen out here, and these are the guys you're counting on to keep the scoreboard at 0.
Yeah, that is one of the things, yeah. But that's okay. I mean, you know, they need to get out there. They've spent their time also. Give them a chance.
That's right. Well, they're just not letting that running game have any kind of life. Adebayo with a carry, another freshman in the game. He's running back out of Knoxville, Tennessee.
And Mason Chalewa with the tackle.
This is one of those fun games, though, where everybody has an opportunity.
Now Dukes with an opportunity again next Saturday, 12 o'clock against Robert Morris. Same coverage next week. Be on NBC Sports Washington and Flow Football.
I think they get down to
clock.
0. They called timeout just in time.
There's no flag on the play. First charge timeout, Morehead State. 30-second timeout.
They still have 2 remaining. The Dukes have all 3 of theirs, and don't expect them to use them unless really necessary.
Dukes have racked up 559 yards of total offense, 372 of it on the ground. Kurt made a point of the defense and the rushing defense for the James Madison University Dukes. They have held Morehead to just 2 yards rushing in this football game, 106 total yards of offense from Morehead.
Well, last year, Ben DiNucci was the quarterback of the Dukes, and what a interesting offseason story for him, too. Some of the action from him last year with JMU, and then went on to actually start a game for the Dallas Cowboys this year against the Philadelphia Eagles on a Sunday night football game. That's some old DiNucci film.
Well, you were talking about 3 different Dukes who had some Super Bowl NFL experience. And DiNucci, another JMU Duke, to put on an NFL uniform, and there's a big sack there.
Yeah, Sean Johns.
John's been in on a couple of plays since coming into the football game.
Another one of our Food Lion sacks. Sack to give back. Food Lion feeds just donated another 1,000 meals to feed our neighbors in need here in Harrisonburg. Keep cheering on the Sacks to help give us back. Strova back to receive the punt, that is, beg your pardon. And he's not going to receive it. It's going to end up out of bounds.
Tell you, the ball just sounds like a rock.
Like it's cold.
When he's trying to kick it.
Yes.
Jeez. Now let's see if Bentley gets a chance. Yes.
Well, good. Good to see him come back out there. Getting late in the game, so let me thank Matt Scharbert, who is the Sports Information Director for Morehead. Looks like they're just going to kill the clock here, so unfortunately that's all Bentley will get a chance to do. Chris Brooks, the Sports Information Director here for the Dukes, also research assistants. Allie Barefoot here with us on sidelines, and Tucker Stunts. Our executive producer today, John Salem. Kelly Clore, our producer, and director, John Hodges. And to all the crew from the rest of the gang that helped us with the camera work, the replay, the graphics, everything that goes into a football game. Some of them braving the elements out here as well. The guys from Telemedia Production, for example. And they'll be all back here next week to bring you another game of JMU football against Robert Morris. We'll have all of the games here at Bridgeforth televised as well as online, and you can catch all the all the other road games during the regular season through your Flow football subscription. Carl, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Appreciated the opportunity.
As this one will go in the books as a shutout for the Dukes of James Madison, 52-0. As the teams they won't do their typical, they'll just wave across the way. Hey guys, thanks for coming out here today. Best of luck. Travel safely.
See the coaches pointing to the teams. No,
yep.
Go to the
other side. Go to the locker room. So that'll do it here as far as today's ball game. The Dukes winners 52-0 over Morehead. And thank you for joining us here from Learfield IMG College. Final score here from Bridgeforth Stadium. The Dukes defeating the Morehead State Eagles 52-0, defeating the Eagles for the 8th time in the 10-game series of the history. Let's take a look quickly at some of the highlights of this one. It was a chilly day here in Harrisonburg, and that's really an understatement. Coach Kurt Signetti and company, and the running game, Carl, got it going early and kept it going all day.
Well, they did exactly what they wanted to do. They ran the football, they ran it effectively, and they got the correct operation from Cole Johnson as he operated the controls, did not make any mistakes, and really 52 points. Can't complain about that.
Not at all, as the Dukes open up once again. They have been very successful at home over the last couple of decades and winning most of their home openers by lopsided scores. And Cole Johnson today striking for the touchdown pass of Mr. Thornton.
Johnson 10 of 14, 147 yards, the touchdown, no interceptions.
And here's Juwan Hamilton with the score. And the defense, well, it pitches a shutout, and you can't ask for much more than that as you read those overall numbers just a moment ago.
They rushed for -6 yards. JMU 369 yards on the ground, -6. And they only passed for 104, 98 total offensive yards from Morehead in this football game. And JMU's defense opportunistic as well.
So the Morehead State Eagles next up there at Presbyterian on March the 13th. The Dukes of James Madison here next Saturday, and that's against Robert Morris. This has been a Learfield IMG production of JMU Football. Thank you for joining us. Have a great Saturday evening, everyone.